How do you like that video? It definitely calmed me down. So I want to thank Julia for setting the stage by saying we're here about telling stories. When I was asked to talk about why innovation matters, it took a while to figure out what story to say. So I thought I could start by telling a story that's about 500 years old, at least. And it's a very interesting story because it's a story of a dead bird. I don't know if you've been to Mauritius. If you've been to Mauritius, that's what it looks like. White sandy beaches, everything is calm, Cuba Libre flowing out of the taps. It's an amazing place. In Mauritius, about 500 years ago, this bird died. That's a dodo, and it died. It's very interesting, the story of its death, because its closest cousin lived in this place called the Nicobar Islands. That's about 5,000 kilometers away. At some point in time, this bird went all the way from the Nicobar Islands to Mauritius, landed there, saw the white sandy beaches, plenty of fruit, absolutely chill, and it just stayed. For millions of years, the dodo just grew fatter and fatter and fatter and slower, and it just stayed. It lost its ability to fly, which wasn't a big deal because it didn't need to fly anywhere. It's a small island, there's no predators, life was cool. Until 1598, the Dutch settlers come in there. And the Dutch settlers come in there with their little pet dogs. And not many, only about 25 settlers, really. These pet dogs found the dodo an easy target, or for want of another word, a sitting duck. The pet dogs killed the dodo for food. It just went out and, attacked the dodo, and the dodo didn't know what hit it. It didn't know how to escape, didn't know how to fly. It just died. In 98 years, the dodo was extinct. So a bird that had lived there for 1 million years or more actually got wiped out in just 100 years. Those from Mauritius, feel very deeply about the story. But the point is, if they had no need to innovate, they would die, and nobody could fault them for dying, right? They just didn't need to innovate. That's not the only thing that died around the 1500s. Another thing died, and this time it's not an animal, but it's a career. There used to be people that would transcribe the oral word and write it beautifully. These people were called calligraphers. This was a highly valued profession. The church loved calligraphers because they could transcribe the Bible now. Kings loved calligraphers because they could convey the diktat of the king to the people. Merchants liked calligraphers because they could write down contracts. In 1450, not in Mauritius, back in Germany, somebody invented the printing press, Mr. Gutenberg. Along with that, calligraphers weren't valued anymore because now you had a guy who could look at you could look at mirror images of letters, stack them into a little tray, push them against a piece of paper, and voila, you had a whole page calligraphed, right? So the calligrapher died in 1450, giving rise to the typesetter. The typesetter was a highly valuable profession because not everybody could do this. They were highly paid, by the way. But the typesetter got killed the moment something called the typewriter got invented. Because now you didn't need this guy doing this. You had a lady sitting in a typist pool who would type out stuff faster than a typesetter could read these blocks. The typist pool was a valuable career. My dad was actually trained as a typist. He went to typing school to become a typist. Well, soon after this, something called desktop publishing came in, and the entire typist pool and Mad Men went away. Right? So notice what happened. You have dodos or animal species that die. You have careers that die. Companies that have died for want of innovation, everybody knows. Everybody knows of Kodak. Right? So I want to make it dramatic, as dramatic as I can possibly make, when I make this claim that you innovate or you die. If you don't innovate, you just die. So okay, so how do you break out of this morbid scenario? My thesis, and it's not just my own, a lot of great minds have made this point that good ideas come from slapping paradigms together. What you might have heard of as paradigm shift is basically breaking paradigms, breaking these walls. So if you haven't said hello earlier, you can say hello now, make your connections. Let me give you an example, if I can, to make this a little more elaborate. If you go to Sevilla, if you walk into the cathedral, you can see this pipe organ. That's about 30 feet tall. It's one of the best examples of a pipe organ in the world. But I'm not a musician, so I can't really appreciate the musical part of it. But the good thing is, the pipe organ wasn't invented by a musician. It's an engineering solution. It's an engineering solution for how one person can control so many pipes. And this is almost 2,000 years old, the design. It's a Greek engineer who invented something called the hydraulis, a series of pipes powered by water and weights, on how one person could release and control the air that flowed through all these pipes to make music. So, on one hand, if you don't innovate, you die. To innovate, you slap paradigms. But what do you get if you do innovate? Right? What's the positive side of this? If you do innovate, you create something that I think is of lasting beauty, and that's all you can really get. Because every day your innovation is going to be wiped out by somebody else. You create something what I think gives you lasting beauty. You can ask questions that haven't been asked before on how things can be taken forward. Society gains value by looking at things that hadn't existed until the previous day. All in this grand adventure, grand exercise to create things of lasting beauty. There is beauty in a Swiss watch. If you see a Google car that drives without a driver, that's beautiful. If you see a heart-lung machine that sucks in bad blood, cleans it up, and sends good blood back into a body, that is beautiful. So when I was asked, like I said, on being able to answer why does innovation matter, while I was stuck with the sentence that always seemed to start like this: well, if you don't innovate, something bad happens. If you flip it around, well, if you do innovate, things that are beautiful happen. That's what I want to set as a theme for the agenda for the day. I hope you will find aspects of this building up during the day where you can find beauty in combining ideas from different people, in combining different themes, and during the day I hope you have the same shared feeling that I do of creating beauty. And I want to leave you with one last slide, which is the quote from Watson when he put together the double helix model. That's what he said. Not it's elegant, but it's beautiful. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day.